Are we sacrificing too much for our kids, especially when it comes to our retirement years? Let's talk about that this week here on Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts. Welcome into Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts with CPA and personal financial specialist Phil Putney. Now let's get rolling with today's show. Hey everybody, welcome into the podcast. Thanks for hanging out with Phil and I as we talk investing, finance, and retirement. And Philly, the biscuit snatchers is what my dad used to call us when we were kids. We would snatch all the biscuits, apparently.
Those kids.
I know, right? And so let's talk about, we all want to help our kids, right? We all want to do as much as we can for them. But when we get to a certain age, especially when we're becoming seniors and whatnot ourselves, are we sacrificing too much at times? And I know that I talk to advisors all across the country like yourself, and they see it's a real problem. People see this pretty often.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm working with a client right now. We're just in the first stages of planning, and he's built into his plan $3,000 a month for the next 5 years.
Wow! Wow.
Supporting one of his kids. So,
wow, the bank of mom and dad is open.
That's right. Which, I mean, hey, it's his money, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
As long as it's not hurting their plan. But I mean, that's where the problem comes in.
Well, and we've got a link to an article we'll stick in here for folks to check this out about this particular situation as well. So if you want to click the links below, you can also use that to get in touch with Phil. And then, of course, you can also check out this news story here. It's a pretty eye-opening piece, right? So basically it's saying that nearly half of all parents are still financially supporting their adult kids, Gen Zs, and millennials, which that one cracks me up as well. Right. And it's costing them big time because the millennial age actually goes pretty far back. So it's kind of interesting. Oh, yeah. We're talking about an average of about $1,500 a month versus that $3,000 you were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
So are you seeing that besides like just the one client? Is it more than you kind of expected? Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a few that I know of. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, how much is it in there that you don't know, right? And I don't really care. I'm not trying to audit a client or, we don't get into the details in budgeting.
Sure.
My goal is what do you need a month to live on? Where it goes is up to you.
Right.
Give me a target and then let's plan towards that. For this client, they knew that it was going to be more of a short-lived, and they wanted to plan for it specifically at kind of a separate line item.
Kudos to them for at least doing that. Yeah, exactly. Because others were just kind of just kicking the money out and not really thinking about what it's doing to our own retirement thing. So why is it such a common issue right now? I mean, obviously housing prices have been nuts. That's part of it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I mean, the age group, especially that are, the Gen Zers that are coming in now that are, kind of just getting into their first career. They're coming out trying to find a job, looking for housing. I mean, they had the brunt of inflation, and unfortunately housing carried a lot higher level of inflation than just kind of the CPI that everyone else has seen. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if they're trying to find even an apartment on their first job, pay for everything, even if maybe they've got school bills. I mean, that's going to be another probably large factor that plays into these too, is that the amount of school debt that unfortunately a lot of these kids carry. I mean, that's a huge burden that they have to take on. So I think a lot of that is what we're starting
that's
to
a philosophical question, right? About how you're choosing to live your life. And then are you choosing to live a certain way that's kind of leeching on your parents? Some situations that's definitely the case. Others, it's not. Others, it's truly it's like, I just can't seem to get by. Right.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the purpose of this discussion, to me, at least, I'm not trying to judge anyone. It's like I've said before, and even with my clients, I don't care where your money goes. It's up to you. It's your money.
Right.
But
it does. Right. But
my goal is to make sure you don't run out of money in retirement, and that, your long-term retirement plan works. So that's where I have a concern a lot of times with this, is that if decisions you're making, and I mean, this doesn't have to be somebody in retirement. This can be somebody that is approaching retirement.
Yeah, on your way. Yeah.
3 to 5 years out.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. At what point do we cross that line into hurting ourselves, our own financial future? Because it really, I mean, we've talked about this a million times. It really is cyclical. Like if you sacrifice too much to help your adult children, and you damage your own retirement, guess who you're going to have to lean on when you need help? Those same adult children who maybe now are in a good spot, but are like, I can't help you, mom and dad. I'll put myself back in this hole or whatever. So you got to be very careful.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a dangerous cycle. I mean, I've got another client I just met with that we've done the planning for, and unfortunately, their daughter, when she went to school, it was too expensive.
Right.
She took on some of the student loans herself, but then they took on a lot of Parent Plus loans, significant amount.
Sure.
And they've been paying them all along. Well, she's at the point now where she almost has her loans paid off. And it was kind of an interesting discussion. We were going through the tax preparation and delivery to them, and that came up. And the dad's like, "Oh, good, you can start taking on the loans that we've now been paying for all these years." And she's like, "Well, wait a minute, I've been trying to look for a house and trying to find a house, and I can't do that." And it's like,
well, that's a great point. When, and we're talking about when does it cross the line? And again, not judging anybody, but when support becomes expected versus occasional, then you start to move into a problem as a parent. You have got to set lines.
Right. And again, I mean, this comes back to personality and preference.
Sure.
At the end of the day, if you would rather help your kids along the way now than leave a big pile of money, so to speak, at the end, that's great.
Great.
Just my concern that I've seen with some of this is just that you don't want to create this environment of expectancy of, well, mom and dad's got my back. They're going to, they've always got that safety net.
Yeah.
But does that really help them in the long run is the real question. Is that really helping them get forward in their career?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I know
it's
we've
still
all
lessons.
Gone through this.
You never stop teaching your kids lessons, right? You never
Right.
stop teaching your kids lessons, and you've got to be, as the parent, you got to be careful that the monthly support is not outpacing your retirement contributions either. Because again, you're at some point, like, let's say we'll just use me. I'm 53 right now. I don't have this situation. My daughter's doing well in the Navy. Kudos to her. But at this point in time, we don't have this problem. So, I'm able to keep putting money away for retirement. But if I wasn't able to put as much because I was supporting her, I could be looking at a 30-year retirement, right? So you've got to be careful about how you're balancing this.
And that's really what it comes down to is acknowledging at first that, hey, this is what's going on, right? Yeah. This is how much it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is a lot of times people don't know really how much it is because it's not necessarily, I'm not writing them a check every month for,
a little here, a little there, a little.
Exactly. Yeah. So, they're still on my cell phone bill and we're still paying the car insurance.
Yeah.
We're, there's all these things and you start adding it up and it can be a pretty big number every month.
Yeah.
That you've just kind of done through college, it's expected as they're going through, they're doing their part in college. So you're helping along, but now they've got their first job and there's, and every kid's a little different, some are more, hey, I'm on my own. I got my job. I'm good. I got my own cell phone plan now. I'm off.
Yeah, there was a period when she was 20.
There's a break.
When she was 21, we were like, oh crap, this is not. After getting out of college, we're like, this is not looking good. But now she pays our cell phone bill. So I mean, hey, you can work it out. And I think that's the point, right? So how can we kind of support without damaging the relationship? I think clear timelines, maybe phase out as to when help's going to stop, kind of thing. Maybe those are conversations.
Right. Or at least, just have the discussion of number one, what is it? It's going on, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
If that's part of your plan, great. How you want to parent, that's up to you. Sure. We're not trying to get into that all.
Right.
Like I said, my concern in all of it is that if that's something you want to build into your lifetime retirement budget, then please let your advisor know that that's part of it.
Right.
And let's run the numbers. Let's see what the numbers say. If it doesn't damage your retirement, you can still do everything you want to in retirement. Great.
But that's a financial good point, Phil, but how many people can do that though? That's a great point, but not many, right? And I think that's where, unfortunately, we can try to take out the parenting, how you want a parenting style in this conversation, but I don't think it's realistic because many people would say, well, we're just going to help them, but they don't truly have the assets themselves to actually help them.
Correct.
So you can't finance retirement, Phil.
Right. Yeah, if it's going to delay your retirement or, cause you maybe to not be able to retire.
Right.
But again, that's a personal decision. As long as you know that, so me as an advisor, I always tell my clients, it's not my plan, it's yours. I will give you my advice and recommendations as we go through. My goal is to help answer questions and point you in the right direction so you can see all these pieces come together.
Right. Yeah.
And this is simply one of those pieces. This is another expense item, whether it's, you're supporting the kids or you've got a golf habit. So whatever it is, your hobby that, is very expensive.
Right.
does it work? Can you continue that in retirement? It's a financial discussion you have to have and plan it out to see.
Yeah, true.
Does it truly work? Can I still live the lifestyle in retirement that I anticipate and do whatever that happens to be? Supporting a child in this case is what we're talking about, but whatever that is, it's just a matter of running the numbers and knowing the facts and acknowledging that this is how it is. If it all works and you're happy with it, so be it. It's fine. But to your point, that's the challenge. Most people do not do that.
Yeah, they don't have the conversation. They just do it.
Number one, they don't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, they know, but they don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's like streaming services, right?
Right.
Or it's like
I got 20 of them. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, it's exactly. Sit down and add some of those up sometime. I mean, because the funny thing to me, that it's kind of off topic now, but I mean, the funny thing to me with that whole discussion is 5 years ago, 7 years ago, we were all complaining and moaning about how much cable was. Oh, it's ridiculous how much you pay for cable.
And it's the same thing.
Sit down and look at what you're paying for streaming.
They always find a way to get you. It's the same thing.
You're back to the same spot.
You're back to the same thing. Well,
and we don't realize it.
True.
The Tax Smart Retiree is your comprehensive guide to mastering tax efficiency for a flourishing retirement. You will find indispensable advice and actionable strategies designed to enhance tax savings, maximize Social Security benefits, protect against market volatility, and develop a customized retirement plan. To get your free ebook, click the link in the show notes of today's episode and download your copy of the Tax Smart Retiree right now.
And it's funny you mentioned that, and people will say, "Oh, how dare you compare streaming services to children?" But it's kind of actually
it's an expense.
It's a societal thing that we've created the last number of years too, right? The last maybe 10 years, 15 years, it's been working its way towards this because we do have so many more aging parents. So again, if you're in that 45 to 65 window, you're probably dealing with an elderly parent or two, and then an elderly a child or two that needs help. And at some point, you can't be the bank of everyone, right? And and we could easily step that into the, with the conversation about our country right this minute, but you can't be the bank of everything and everyone all the time.
Right.
You just can't.
Right. Because I mean, at some point, you're not going to be able to do it.
I mean, unless you got like $50 million, you just can't do it.
It's just, it's not a discussion. Go ahead and do what you want. But
yeah,
for most people, it can be a serious problem.
Yeah.
And to me, the biggest challenge with it is that if you've done this all these years and now you're 60, 65 and thinking, okay, I've got to retire. I just can't do this anymore. I've got 5 years is all I can do. And you don't have enough. What do you can't go back and change it, right? What is done is done. What you have is what you have. So it's better today ahead of time to look at that picture long term and to have that hard discussion today versus later on.
Yeah.
Because at some point, for some people, it's going to have to change. The support has to stop because you just physically, financially can't support them that long.
And then
whether it's good for them or not, that's a whole nother discussion you can get into. But,
absolutely.
It just you financially as a person going into retirement, is it going to damage your retirement? That's the question you have to get answered to begin with.
And then we're so reactionary about things. Then you look at then you go Google the S&P at the time we're taping this, and you look year to date and it's down 5%, right? Or you look for the month and it's down 4.3%, right? So that's not helping because then you're looking at that and going, oh, well, I got to keep helping the kids, but I'm also going to be pulling money here soon, and now it's down. I mean, it's just a big snowball. So you got to be, you got to have a strategy, man. Got to have.
Yeah, and that's where it comes back to the plan. If support is something like the one client I'm working with now that they need to or want to, whatever it is, I don't know, it doesn't matter. One of their financial goals is this support of $3,000 a month for the next 5 years. Okay, that's fine. Let's put it in the plan and see if it works. For them, it works.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. It's not my goal or my place to say, oh, what are you doing? That's crazy. I don't care. It's your money.
Right.
You know the reason behind it. I don't need to know. I don't really care.
Right.
I'm glad you're able to help your child.
But you have to run those numbers.
Your retirement.
You have to run those numbers and go, okay, so you're still going to be good to 95 or whatever.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not going to harm your long-term trajectory into retirement then. Or if it is, again, it's not my decision, but my responsibility at that point is to let you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Here are the facts. These are the numbers.
Well, I think at the end of the day, you got to have the conversation. It's not always, and you know, and I had a good chat, spirited chat about this. It's not always maybe super pleasant, but if you don't, you're going to be, it's the same thing as dealing with an aging parent. If you don't have some of the harder conversations, they are going to bite you in the butt. So just make sure you're having those chats with not only, you know, your kids, but also your advisor. To your point, if you're going to do this, at least let them know so that you guys can be planning and strategizing for it. And of course, if you need some help, obviously Phil's helping folks with that right now. Make sure you reach out to him online. We got all the links in the show descriptions below, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, or checking us out on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to us on whatever podcasting platform app you like using. Hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell on YouTube as well, and that way you catch new episodes when they come out. And Phil, I'll see you next week, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. We'll catch you next time right here on Phil's Tax Hacks and Other Retirement Facts.
Phil?
Investment advisory services offered through AFS Wealth Management. The content of this program is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. Investments and/or investment strategies involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. There is no assurance that any investment strategy will achieve its objectives.